What's up, guys? On today's episode, we're going to be going over the step-by-step process to remove those annoying scratches as you're putting your hand in and opening the door. It gets a little funky underneath the door handle, which is kind of a pain in the butt to work with, but it takes about 10 minutes to fix, and it's not that big of a deal. So that and a lot more coming up on this episode of Drive and Protect. All the way in so that they touch up enough. You can hear it. Step one, of course, is to get the car clean if it isn't already. Now, in most cases, detailers are cleaning the entire car, not just the door handles, but let's pay special attention to the handles this time as we need the area super clean, especially if we choose to complete the last step. To clean off all the bird poo, I'm using the Kransel 1122 TST. It's a great pressure washer assembled by Matt Moorman. Check out the link in the description for all the details. I'll have a more in-depth pressure washer discussion in the upcoming videos. Complete a normal wash using either AMMO foam or AMMO frothy as your lubricant and agitate behind the handle as you open and close the door. This will flush out any trapped gunk. Then rinse. Next, add a shot of frothy and quickly clay the cup. More on why later in the episode. Then rinse again and dry with AMMO hydrate and a microfiber towel. Next, I pulled the car inside for better lighting and so the compressor hose could reach, but outside is perfectly good as well if inside is not an option. Blow out the handles as you open and close the door to remove any remaining trapped water. Now you're ready to work on a clean, uncontaminated surface. Okay, now the first thing you want to do is actually lock the car. I know that sounds pretty crazy, but you're going to be pulling on the handle. We're going to be doing a few things to lift this up and manipulate it, but to have the door open every 2 seconds is kind of annoying, so put that to the side. There you go. All right, now we have multiple machines. As you guys know, I have lots and lots as a professional, and it helps get into these tight areas. This is a totally different story. So first example, I'm just giving you a couple of things here. Clearly, it's not going to fit. We see that. I may be able to touch this spot up, meaning typically when I'm doing a door handle, I'm doing the rest of the car as well. It's not just doing the door handle. So I'll be, compounding this area here, and then I can kind of tip it up and move along here. But to start and just do this one on camera just for a short video, this is not going to be useful to us, a 5 or a 6. Now we say, okay, fine. What if we go the opposite direction and go down to a 1 or a 2 inch? Again, it can't fit underneath here. Logical, very cool tool, but it's sort of irrelevant in this particular spot. Now, as you saw in the thumbnail, we have a power tool with one of those balls on there that typically does, wheels and things like that in tight spots. Very, very cool. Now, if you can lift this under here and slide it in, that makes a lot of sense. The challenge for me, so you can do this, but the challenge for me is you are putting a lot of pressure on the back side of the handle. Now, this handle is plastic, and we've shot a bunch of videos on the heat absorption rates. When you're playing with plastic, the plastic is going to heat up significantly faster than, let's say, metal and cause damages, or the byproduct of compounding is heat residue, and you don't really want that. You want to try to minimize that. It's worse on plastic because plastic will flash and the inside of your handle will get all shriveled up. So you can use this, but you'd have to be very, very careful, and you can put some tape on there. But again, as you put the tape and it rolls around and touches the tape, it's going to contaminate this. So if you do this, okay, fine. Just use a little bit of caution there. Now, the other idea is to simply take the handle off. Now, you would go inside, take the panel off on the inside, and then a couple of screws. It's actually not that big of a deal. Having said all of that, I think if you're just doing this as a detail, not doing a clear bra, let's say, not doing a $1 paint restoration on a $1 car, I think it's a little excessive to take the handle off, because what I'm about to show you is super simple. So what we are going to use is the 3 inch, right? So the 3 inch first is going to clean up the area surrounding the actual cup. Then we're going to get in there and do it by hand, and I'll show you those steps right now. I'm using a 3 inch Meguiar's microfiber cutting pad with M105. First, prime the pad, then add 2 or 3 dots and go to work. In this case, I attacked the door first with the 3 inch tool for 2 reasons. Number 1, I wanted to test the paint and get a feel for how fast or slow the scratches are being removed so I could have a bit of data prior to going at it by hand. Second, I wanted to clean up the low-hanging fruit to get a win under my belt. If I can't get the door perfect, then why even start the door handle and cup? Notice the white compound ring around the door handle here? This is totally normal and will be addressed later. For step 2, prop the door handle open or out with a plastic card so that you have as much room as possible and you don't have to hold it with your other hand. This happens to be a plastic squeegee left over from the R8 vinyl wrap episode. It's relatively soft and it won't damage the paint, so choose your tool wisely. In other words, not a screwdriver. Next, wrap a microfiber towel tightly around your 2 fingers and blot with 105 on the tip. Rub with medium to heavy pressure in side to side and up and down motions. Avoid circles if you can, as they can be more challenging to polish out than straight lines are. As always, check your work to ensure the scratches have been removed. If not, just repeat again. Obviously, this process by hand will take considerably longer than it would by machine, so be patient and check your work as you go. Before you finish, make sure to clean the back side of the handle as well and the keyhole, but avoid jamming compound or polish in the hole itself. Just use the polish residue on the towel lightly to brighten up the metal face. Afterwards, repeat the same process again, but this time use M205 polish to remove the haze from the door cup. Once the scratches are gone, switch pads to a yellow foam polishing pad and M205. This will remove the white haze caused by the compound. Be sure to cover a slightly wider footprint than when you were compounding. The speed here is roughly 3 for both compounding and polishing. Finally, protect the area with AMMO Reflex, Skin, and/or Cream to return the handle and cup to a like-new appearance, but with a bit more pop. Now, for those of you who are bordering on Wolverine-like nails, it may be wise to put a small piece of plastic or clear bra in the cup to avoid monthly polishing by hand. To do this, measure the area to be covered and order a small piece of clear bra online for a few dollars and cut it out by hand, or simply order a pre-cut door handle kit from 3M. In my particular case, I have a ton of leftover clear bra rolls in my garage, so I cut out a small square according to my measurements and then rounded off the top and bottom to fit the cup by using a roll of masking tape as a guide for my blade. Use whatever works for you. If you don't like the cut, simply get a fresh piece and start over. Then, use a slip agent to apply the film. Water and a bit of baby soap works well. I'm using a gel-like slip agent we already have in spray bottles in the shop. If you remember, this is why I went a bit overboard on the cleaning and claying part earlier. I wanted to avoid wasting time pulling out tiny bits of debris from the film because it's hard to reach behind the handle. Clearly, we can't easily get a squeegee behind the handle either, so you're going to need to use your hands, working from the middle of the bra going outwards. During the application process, if an edge starts to finger or crease like it did here, apply light heat and slowly work the kink out. Don't just hammer down on it, you'll ruin it and have to start over. But again, it's not the end of the world. If you do make a mistake or you want it bigger or smaller, just pull it off and recut until you're satisfied. Or you can remove it altogether and invest in industrial strength nail clippers instead. Okay, at this point it looks absolutely spectacular, and I know we have 1,000 tools that can get in all these little tiny spots, but we ended up using our hands. And the reason why is sometimes we don't need to overthink it. It actually works quite well to get into this little pocket, hence this is why our hand goes in here, right? It fits and feels great, and we don't have to take the door handle off. We don't really need to go nuts and overthink this entire process. This leads me to another question that I get a lot is, hey, can we hand compound, hand polish my car? I don't want to buy a polisher. I'm only doing my car. I can't afford these fancy polishers. Okay, yeah, I totally understand that. And the answer is yes. But the downside is, or the flip side is, this took us 10, 15 minutes to do this little tiny area. Think about the surface area of an entire car. That's a bit of a challenge. So I give an analogy when I'm talking to somebody on the phone or via email. I say, hey, if you have a snow-filled driveway and you want to move the snow, can you do it with a spoon? And they'd be like, yeah, of course I can do it with a spoon, but does it make sense? It'll take you all day to do it or 2 days to do it. And they go, yeah. I said, well, in that case, what do? Oh, use a plow, use a snow blower or a shovel or something like that. So in this reality, or in this analogy rather, this is the entire driveway. So when you're using a big machine, a 5-inch, a 6-inch, you're using a snow plow. But when you get into this tiny little walkway, if you will, right, you got to go to something smaller like a shovel, or in this case, our hands. So I wanted to make sure I got that point across on camera. Of course, you can do it by hand, but sometimes the opportunity cost of time and labor. But again, to each his own. You can absolutely do it, and you'll certainly have bigger muscles than I do if you do an entire car. But it'll be a lot of fun. Anyways, as always, thanks for watching. Don't overthink it. Clean these door handles up. It'll change the look of your entire car. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.